Welcome to Switch It Up, and today we are discussing, you guessed it, solar, because so many of you have been asking questions, and I thought, you know, it might be time to clear it up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a system down to the basics, make it as simple as possible to a little more complex. We're hoping that we can actually steer you in a direction that might help you on your journey, and we won't have all the answers, but by golly, we're going to show you some pretty cool stuff and help you along your RV journey. So let's roll the intro and jump into it. It's a little bit different video today, but that's why we switch things up.
A man and a woman left their home to switch things up and go on the road. They didn't know where they would go, but it's gotta be better than staying home. They switched it up. They switched it up.
All right, let's do a little rooftop talk. We had a good rainstorm last night, so I wanted to come up and check all the panels and stuff. I got some dirt on them I'm gonna have to wipe off later, but it got me thinking about all the solar questions that I generally answer in comments or emails that come in. So let's just start here. Let's start with the basics. And the basics are, we have a bunch of solar panels on the roof, but it's not as many as a lot of people think. I bring this to your attention is like, if you're gonna start designing a system, I was like, okay, how do you start with the bare bones minimum and how high do you go up, and kind of those little factors that I didn't know along our journey that I thought maybe I could help you with, especially if your journey is just now starting. So let's just start with the basics on solar. On the roof, we have 8 rich solar panels. When we designed the system, we realized that we were going to be limited on space because of the deck. So that comes down to that step number one, is how do you design your system? What do you look for? Kind of like you have to make a layout. And some people use this for templates as well, where you're making cardboard templates after you find out the dimensions of your solar panels. But you really kind of have to mentally start preparing yourself. So what do we have currently? We have something that's a little bit different. On our Grand Design Momentum, we had 200 watt solar panels, which were great. And we had 8 of them, which was 1600 watts of solar. And then our original, I believe that our original Grand Design Momentum came with a 300 watt panel that was already up there. So we were actually right around that 1900 watts of solar that were on the roof. Flash forward to where we are now, we needed a little bit more because our battery bank system was going to be so much bigger, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about here in a second. But there was a key component on the roof that I wanted to share with you when you're designing, and that is, just because you're planning to put 10 solar panels and it's going to have, each panel is 200 watts, you're going to have 2000 watts of solar, and people like to throw those fancy numbers around. The unfortunate part is that's not the full usage of those panels. You will never get the full usage of your panels. Why? Because on your RV, on your van, whatever you have, most of the time we all put them laying flat. And unless you want to angle them, as the sun moves, you don't get the full usage of your panels. So the magic percentage is 70%. So if you're gonna put 2000 watts of solar on top of whatever you have, just think you're only gonna get 1400 watts of solar usage at its peak performance, okay? So now let's flash forward to where we are today. We're sitting here, let me get this number for you. Right now, as it is, we're using a 335 watt solar panel, and you're like, that's not normal. No, it's not. Generally, they're used in a residential application. We had a little bit more room to use a bigger panel versus trying to put more panels on the roof. So we maximized how many watts we could get out of each panel for the amount of room we had. With 8 panels, we are only rocking 2,680 watts of solar. And if you use the 70% scenario played out like I shared earlier, that means that we only have peak efficiency of 1,876 watts. Now you're like, okay, all right, this makes sense. You can use that to start planning your usage. Now, why is that important? Well, you have to go to the next step where you have to determine how many watts that you're generally using in your RV. And when we first started, I'll go over this again later, is that we actually purchased this little meter that we would plug into the wall, and then we plugged everything like our computer, laptops in, we plugged the coffee maker in, we plugged everything in to kind of have a general idea how many watts we were using. There's a plug-in on the back, you plug it in, then you plug the device in, and then that tells you how many watts you're using. So we went through pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, just kind of like, there's so many things that just use a little bit of power, even when the rig's using batteries. Like it just... Our
internet and the refrigerator, the TV's on. Yeah,
I mean,
they call those...
It's not on, but what is it, phantom power?
Phantom power. I think somebody called it vampire power for a while, where it sucked stuff off.
And you don't even realize it.
And
but if a vampire bit me, I would realize it.
Would you though? They kind of nibble. They're nibblers.
How do you know this?
I don't know, it's my own thought. So once we kind of knew that number, then we could kind of determine, well, how many watts that we're pulling in during the day, how can it offset the batteries? If it was more watts coming into the batteries to charge them, then we could run things all day long and never deplete our batteries. But if we didn't have enough solar to recharge the batteries as we're using all of the components that we have, then our battery usage would go down if we weren't going to be running a generator. It's a very key component that nobody really talks about, that I've really seen. They want to talk about batteries a lot, which is a key. That's the heart of the system. But if you want to think of it that way, you got to think of the solar as like the blood pumping into the heart, right? So it's very, very, very important. Now, how do you lay out and stuff? These solar panels we're using are not the normal ones, but I would get the dimensions off of Rich Solar, try to figure out what the solar panel you're going to use, and then I believe these are like 65 inches by like 39 inches. So then some people will take like a piece of cardboard, and then if you know the dimensions, you can lay it out on top of your RV to see how many panels you can fit up there comfortably, because you're still going to want to walk around them. You don't want to walk on them by any means, and that way you'll have a pretty good gauge of how many watts of solar. Now that you know that, how many watts are you using in your current RV situation? That's a key thing. Really need to hone in on what your needs are, what your desires are. In this RV park, we have small travel trailers to big fifth wheels to park home models to, there's a Class C sitting over there, a big Class A over here, and then even our rig, it's a big rig. Every solar need is different. The gentleman right next to us in the Imagine, he's rocking one solar panel. It's probably charging his normal AGM that he got from when he purchased it from Grand Design. He's probably not even switched it over to a lithium battery, which that's probably your first upgrade you really need to do, because life would just be different if you just spent the $600 to, I don't know, $1,400. It'd make a huge difference, even with rocking one solar panel and not adding anything else to it. But I digress. What I think we should do is to keep this simple. I think we should go down and talk to Sheila, get her opinions on where we were and where we kind of are now, because we are, you know, this is a little bit different, unique situation. We have an LED wall on the front, a full-on concert sound system. We have, well, all of the needs from, we have patio lights that go up on top of the deck when we want to set up. And then the concert system alone eats up so much battery from the subwoofer and the amplifier. And then you just mix in all of our appliances inside. It's a lot. We use a lot. But saying all of that, during normal usage, during the day, without doing anything crazy from LED walls to concert systems, just to do our normal stuff, generally, we're rocking only 1,500 watts normal usage. So 1,500 watts, let that soak in. So if I have, you know, 1,800 watts that are going on the roof, I'm still using my battery system to its capacity, keeping it full, because I have 300 watts extra to be pouring back into the batteries as I'm consuming energy. So that's why it's so key to understand your normal usage versus when you're under load. And that normal usage for us is a little bit different than others, because we don't have the normal AC units. We have basically these LG split units, and so they consume a lot less power. So as of right now, with that usage, we're running 2 AC units actually as well. So just something to keep in mind as you're trying to determine what your usage is. Let's go find Sheila real quick as a motorcycle goes by. FYI, if you're doing an install, I'll just give you little tidbits along what I see along the way. You might want to go ahead and add in breakers to the root in a waterproof box. This way you can actually shut off the power from your panels going down to your batteries if you need to work on your system, because you know, nobody likes a shocking experience. Sheila.
Yep.
I caught her. She's putting stuff away. Okay, Sheila, I have questions for you regarding solar stuff. Are you done? She's putting stuff away in the Bronco. She didn't put it away. You didn't put it in there where it needs to go. You want to sit here? We'll do the old-fashioned picnic table discussion.
It's dangerous.
I know.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
It's right. We never really discussed much. Okay, so I was talking to them basically about solar, and there's different levels to solar and batteries, okay? Firmly believe that I'd say 90+% of the people don't need a huge package. So a ton of batteries, a ton of solar. Most people need what they need to achieve their goals. And when we first started, we didn't know this. And you had specific goals that you wanted to meet when we actually talked to Harrison with Enduro. So kind of give like your take on what, from a woman's perspective, on what you feel, how solar has benefited, kind of your take on how it's helped, that kind of stuff, or what you've noticed that are different.
Okay. Well, when we were first starting out, we did not have that option. And we were running a residential refrigerator. And I really wanted to be able to park the rig and go home, fly home to see the grandkids.
Yes.
And the thought of everything that I had in the refrigerator, whatever I had in the freezer, going bad or spoiling or something happening, wanting to be able just to park the rig and go, that wasn't an option unless we would look into solar and some lithium batteries.
Yes. So our whole goal wasn't to run absolutely everything on the RV.
No, the whole goal was to keep it running enough that we could go home and spend some time with our family.
And I think when we did our video, we did like the top 4 things to upgrade immediately with an RV. Lithium batteries popped in there as like right towards the top.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of you don't know what you don't know when you get started, and you just take whatever the dealer gave us, and it was what their
It was 2 AGMs and like maybe 2 solar panels, I think, that they had up there.
Yeah, whatever it wasn't enough for what we were wanting to achieve. Now,
Yes.
our goals are a little bit different, because that's just the evolution of RV life. Things just...
They progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now we have different goals, but I think that, to me, the biggest key is you know what your goals are. You might not know what you need, and that's why you just trust the professionals. You make the phone call to Harrison, you make the phone call to 𝐜𝐨𝐦, and they can put together the package to help fit your needs. That's what they do.
Yeah. And we didn't know that was an option. We thought it was going to be, you know, a ton of money and stuff. And in the long run, it is one of those things where it's the biggest bang for your buck. Because a lot of times if you just, I mean, we're sitting here, we've got a Solitude, a 𝐁𝐞𝐞, and a small Imagine over here. They all have different needs when it comes to solar packages. And most people are coming to campgrounds and plugging in, so you don't need the solar all the time.
Right.
I wanted to show them kind of like our system, but also talk about what the bare bones minimum I'm starting to see, like, okay, how do you navigate this realm, and maybe give you some input and tips to help you along the journey. We're not gonna have all the answers. It's not our goal to have all the answers. Our goal is to open doors for you.
Yeah, our goal is just to tell you what we've learned, tell you about our experiences, and then point you to people that it is their field, and they're super helpful. You just have to figure out what it is that you want to be able to do. that was the hardest part.
Yep.
'Cause
And budgets come into play.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But once you start to realize what you can do with lithium batteries and solar panels, then you're like, oh, the
Yeah,
world opens,
it does.
and there's a lot of options.
Especially if you're wanting to boondock and save some money than staying in RV parks at $100 to $150 a night, in the bougie ones. And then the less bougie, what are you paying now?
Yeah,
60
I mean,
to 80?
No, you can get into a state park for $30, $30
Yeah.
to $40. But still, a lot of times that means you're not going to have sewer at that price. So it's a give and take, and you
just
have
depending.
This solar opens up your options.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to take them over and show them the system so you can look at that, and then you can leave comments, and then hopefully in another video maybe we can answer those. Okay, I'll let you get back to, do you like the Bronco still?
Yes, I'm thinking it's kind of like a battery. Just things just progress. You just add things on.
We could do lithium and do some overlanding.
Ugh, that means I'm sleeping outside.
Yeah, you'd be sleeping on top. But there's those options. Those are options.
Listen, you are old enough that you have to get up at least one time in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna pee off the top of the Bronco.
Maybe. So RV site's a little tight. Sometimes you just have to make do, right? So we're able to stick the truck on here. It's just a little tight to get through. All right, here we are. Back here, Battery Bay. The only reason I want to show you this is like, our system is a very big system. But every time I talked about it, I never really talked about how big the batteries are. And I think it's important because as far as like Enduro goes, their cases are smaller. Meaning like if you have a smaller compartment on a van, if you have a smaller compartment in like an Imagine or I mean any of them, you got a Salem, a Platinum, you got any of them. If you have a smaller compartment for batteries, it might help to know kind of like the battery size. Well, we have 300 amp hour batteries, and I think they're a good mix. It might not fit your compartment. So in our last RV, we had two 200 amp hour batteries, and they were perfect for the front of the Grand Design Momentum. And I think I could have probably fit 2 more in there, which would have been great. At all this, do not look at this. It's not important. The Victron stuff, not important. What you need to look at is this. See that? Number 1, I don't care what you have. Ditch the batteries that your rig comes with. Upgrade to lithium ASAP. Don't even hesitate, because we hesitated. Within our first week of being on the road as RV newbies, nobody told us that if you run your batteries down and charge them up that you're going to destroy your batteries. And we did that within 10 days. We'd run them down because we thought that was normal. Nobody really explains it to you. Yes, I'm a 51-year-old man. I did not know that. And I imagine most of you that are starting out do not know this either. We destroyed those batteries. It came with 2 because they wouldn't hold a charge. And we were trying to run our refrigerator overnight without running the generator because we were at a boondocking location. And in that boondocking location, they didn't want the generator running overnight, which I understand. So unfortunately, we just learned that we destroyed the batteries. We ran them down, depleted them all the way, charged them up, ran them down, and you can't do that. Lithium, you can. So when we went to go buy new batteries within that first week, we bought 4 AGMs, which we spent a ton of money on because we were thinking, oh, lithium? Really? I mean, they're kind of pricey. You can look at a 100 amp lithium battery from $800 to $1,100 pretty easy. And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess some 100 amps might go down to like $500. But in general, we just weren't thinking that it would be beneficial. I'm telling you now, if you're gonna spend some money right out of the box and you're trying to figure out an upgrade, ditch the battery that your rig come with. I don't care if it's just your normal travel trailer, if it's a van life, I don't care what it is, ditch that battery. Remember, whatever batteries you start with are the batteries that you can use to expand with. So if you start with 300 amp hour batteries, those are the add-on that you have to use. If you use 200 amp hour batteries, those are the add-ons to expand the system. You can't mix 100 with a 300 amp hour. It doesn't work that way. So you have to stay with whatever you're going to start out with. What you're starting with is pretty important, and if it fits in the space that you're needing. So let's just jump in here. I'm starting with batteries just because they're kind of like the heart of the system in a way, because you can use different components for your charge controllers, you can use different components for your converters and inverters, you can use different components for that. But as far as your batteries go, it is kind of the heart. So Enduro has so many benefits, and there are so many options for lithium batteries right now. I think it's just important that when you're shopping and what you're trying to compare to, does it fit the needs of what you're wanting to put together? I'm looking at Enduro just because, again, the battery size. We have 4 300 amp hour batteries in a series, so we're running a 48 volt system. So we have 4 here, and then we tucked 4 up into the mid rails. When Spacecraft was designing the RV, our goals were simply to have as much space down here as possible, because we have a lot of tents and event stuff. At our events we have, well, like right here, this happens to be a PA system, right? So we wanted to have the extra space. So we didn't want all the crazy walls put up that we can put all the fancy stuff on and put it behind plexiglass. We're more functional on the aspect is I wanted it tucked away, give me the most bang for my buck for space and height, and that's what we've come up with. He put these on the back side here, and I'm going to get you the case size. So we're going to be at 19 1/4, in essence that direction, and then we're going to be like 10 3/4. So 19 1/4 by 10 3/4, and then you do need have a little space in there. Some people like to butt them up, but we kept them divided out, and then we strapped them down and then ran all of the different wires. Now when you're running a 48 volt system, as you can see, we don't have to have as thick of a gauge of a wire. If you're going to run a 12 volt system, of course you might only have 1 or 2 batteries, and that's why your wires are thicker, because you got to work with what you're given on the amperage and the volts and stuff. So it just depends on what you're wanting to do. Most RVs, you're going to find you're going to probably get 1 200 amp hour battery, which would be equivalent to probably almost 4 AGM batteries. So it would be a great battery to get for almost like $1,000, a 200 amp hour battery to start with. And then here, oof, let's sit down for a second. So like I said, we were using 2 200 amp hour batteries, which was 400 amp hours. It provided everything we needed. Now most of the new travel trailers that are coming out, they're basically a dual charger, so they can actually handle AGMs and they can handle lithium. This is probably one of the most key components to ask when you are buying a new RV. Whether it's used or brand new, you need to ask them, hey, can I switch these AGMs out? Do I have a charger that can handle both the AGM side and the lithium side? Key component. Now, if they don't, it's not a big deal. To put in a new one, they're like maybe $200, $200, $300 at most. And so you could switch it out yourself. It's literally like 2 wires. It's not a big deal to do. Then you can actually use that to charge your lithium batteries as you purchase them. So as far as a starter goes, I mean, that's your starter. If it comes standard with like 1 solar panel on top, and you get 1 100 amp hour battery, and that converts to basically 2 AGM batteries, think of the weight you just cut out on the front of your RV if you have a travel trailer or if you're in a van. And then you turn around and then you can add solar panels, you can maybe add another 100 amp hour later, or if you wanted to switch that out right away and just do 1 200 amp hour battery, your life would be completely different. Now let's talk about as you get bigger. So, and then you start thinking, well, if I like this idea, how much am I going to spend to put in, you know, a medium-sized system that maybe I can run like 1 AC during the day when it's hot, not have to run a generator and I'm boondocking. That system in itself, now we're talking probably no less than 2,000 watts of solar. Now remember, there's that conversion of 70%, so you're not going to get the full 2,000 watts. So you might want to bump that to 2,500 or 3,000 watts. So now the whole roof is covered in solar. Then you're probably gonna, if you're gonna want to run that 1 AC, you're probably looking at maybe, I would say no less than 1,200 amp hours, basically 4 300 amp hour Enduro batteries. Or if you wanted to break that down and get them all in 200, it doesn't matter. You'd have to have 6 200 amp hour batteries, but I'm thinking that would be your bare minimum to run a standard 1 AC on your RV for maybe 3 or 4 hours in the peak of the heat of the day and not have to turn on your generator. And price wise, you're probably going to be looking around that $6,000 to $7,000 range for all the equipment to do that. It really comes down to, is that something that you desire to do? Because then what you're dealing with now is one, so now you're getting into, you know, how much charge is coming in from the sun, which right now we're coming to the end of the day, 49 watts, and we have trees. So it's tracking, the Victron components are tracking all of that. My batteries that are 100%, the grid is now charging, and we're using, you know, 960 watts. And all of that is geared towards whatever you're gonna use for your Victron components. Get this out of here. Now you're getting into the weeds. Like, now we're running basically two 5,000 watt Victrons Quattros, and they're 48 volt system. They can make them in 24, they can make, you know, they got them in all different sizes. So we're running two of those, depending on which leg. It makes up the difference if you're on 30 amp. It's doing all that fun stuff, but see why the solar system all of a sudden starts getting into those different price points. You may not need two, you may need one for sure. And depending on the system that you're making, that's why it's so important to just start. Like call somebody like Harrison or Enduro, or ask them the questions. This is what I'm wanting to do. And then let them start building the system for you. Now when it comes down to, well, that's great, Todd. You've got that. You've got shunts. You've got charge controllers. You've got communication between everything. I can check this whole system on my phone, make sure everything's running right. I can have Harrison log in from Colorado and view everything on our system to make sure it's running. There are so many different options when it comes to solar packages, but what is right for you and what is your budget and where do you start? Those are the key questions. And I would venture to say that 90+% of us are probably going to be looking around that 200 amp hour batteries, a charge controller, maybe 4 solar panels on the top. I mean, that's quite honestly where we started. Right? And it works so well for us. Again, I don't have all the answers. My whole goal here is to truly talk about some of the complexities of how to plan out your solar and what you're wanting to do. And then it's going to take you 2, 3, 5, 6 months to get it under what you're wanting and then start implementing your plan. Implementing the plan was key in both times that we decided to do this. Now, the first time we tried to do it, there was actually a widget that we bought on Amazon. I'll put it down in the cart. And what Harrison had us do is go in and plug everything we wanted to be running onto that to see how many watts we were using. So then he could start gauging kind of where we were going to need and what our needs were. That thing was like 15 bucks, I think, and it helped tremendously. Now, when we got to this RV, our needs completely changed. Now we have an LED wall on the front, we have a concert sound system, we have heated floors, we have microwaves and a dual burning stove. Part of it's gas, part of it's electric. There's just so many more energy needy things in this brand new RV that it starts the same. You list all of the plans and what you need, and then you start building the system around it. Where was our hang up when building this system? Our hang up is space on the roof. So we realized right away we didn't have enough room for as much solar as we were hoping. So therefore, that's why we only have as much solar as we have, is because no matter how big our battery bank is, if the sun isn't able to charge it as needed as we consume everything, that charge time just takes way more time and effort. So that's why we supplemented that with the generator. And going through that whole thing, I think what I'd like to do is kind of like do a flashback for you to kind of show you some of the things that we talked about with Harrison, some of the things we talked about with spacecraft and how they installed it and all that stuff. We'll do a flashback and allow you to kind of see how that all works. So I think that would be the key there. That might help you. Again, leave some comments down below, and if we can answer those questions as we go about this, then we will. But yeah, let's do that. Let's let you peek behind the curtain of what we had to deal with when designing this system. Have to differentiate between batteries and maybe having a generator still. So I'm not going to throw it all on you like that.
Right.
But the fact is we're really in the next few months, because we don't have the answers now. We're just kind of like running through this. In the next few months, we kind of have to come up with a plan. So when we actually start doing the build, we kind of have an idea.
Right, that's why I'm asking him, like, tell me what's even possible.
Yeah. I would, it's kind of an easy answer. Anything's possible, but there's obviously boundaries.
when you're working with, you know, energy off-grid,
Right.
Especially in a mobile unit. If you're off-grid cabin, we could build any type of system you want.
Right,
In an RV, there's a certain limitation. It's really a balance, as I told you before, about what your main objectives are. Last time it was like, we need to run the fridge for a couple days while we're away, seeing family, seeing kids. In this case, it's going to be that plus a couple other things you're going to try to do. What I would tell you, as I tell everybody, is I don't care how big of a system you make, there's always a point in time where you're going to run out of power. I don't care how much solar you have, how much batteries you have. In an RV situation, there will be a situation that happens. I almost always advise that anybody building a system has a generator. In your case, I'm definitely going to recommend the generator is a part of your build. It's there most of the time. The goal is probably going to be design a system that you don't have to run your generator. But when you come in and, you know, a hurricane comes up through the Gulf Coast and you just happen to be under the cloud cover for 4 days, there's nothing that solar is going to do for you.
So keep it realistic.
So,
So even though the LED wall,
you can go big, you can go big.
You're telling him to keep it realistic.
well, I know I'm helping you guys keep it realistic. Because you can, like, we designed our system, our current system, to stay within our box of doing that, right? To keep it realistic for what our goals were.
And so so when we get to actually speccing out what batteries you're going to use to power this, we're going to say, hey, here's the bare minimum, here's the high end, where do you want to be? And of course you could, if you had infinite space, you just keep going more batteries, but we're not going to go there.
We don't have
And you kind of figure
space.
out there what's your budget and what are your goals, what can you live and live without.
The reason Enduro does well is your cases are a little bit smaller than other competitors.
Yeah, and a great way to, I don't have a 12100 here, but these are example of a 12100. This is a standard 12100 size. There's a Group 31 case, and then this is our Baja series. Is a 12100, also comes in this Group 24 case size. So this is our 25% smaller case size in this footprint. Forget that these say 24 and 36, but in a 12100, we have, most people have this. We have the Baja series of this size, and that continues on into these models where they are a smaller footprint than other batteries in the market.
Our Enduro Power batteries have arrived, so I'm super excited about that. We're going to have the ability to be out in the desert and run all the things thanks to Enduro Power lithium batteries and Harrison. Excited to see that all come together.
So we've got two Quattros.
Yep. Two 5,000. They basically phase together to do 220. You'll have 10,000 watts available.
Wow. It's way over my head though, because it's got to tie into the Garmin, right?
It'll tie into Garmin, ties into the electrical system, so you've got the generator. So most of your power is sitting right here. You've got your generator, your solar panels, your inverters,
and then
inverters, and your solar controllers.
The generator is what? It's
12 kW.
Yeah.
So full 50 amp.
Watch my drink. Don't spill my drink.
It basically has another outlet on there, so I'll probably plug it into the subwoofer since I don't have an outlet right next there.
So the EMP thing, I come up with this idea a long time ago from like solar flares. It's not just like the end of the world apocalypse stuff. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that's how that worked. I thought it was completely different.
That's the EMP shield.
So
Voodoo.
it's not voodoo. So the question is like, does it protect the whole system or only the things plugged into that?
Whole system.
A whole system.
Voodoo.
It's a voodoo thing. We don't know if this is going to work. The preparedness part of me wanted to have it. So there you go. I paid for this. He's like, whatever, I'm plugging it in wherever you need to put it in.
I'll plug it in, plug that sub into it. And worst case, at least your subwoofer won't get fried.
In the apocalypse, the subwoofer will be all right.
If you can look right up here on this panel, right inside here, there's this cord, I've got it plugged into the ceiling right now, all in unplug it.
Right.
But right now it's just taking AC to DC, and that's what these lines are, and it's going to be wired in parallel, so
Okay.
it's one or the other type of deal.
So, if anything ever happens, we have a backup to the backup. That sounds fair. That's good. That's good to know. I don't know how you got those batteries up there. I gotta crawl up here and show you. Look at that. Ugh. So, it's basically in between the I-beams. How big are these I-beams?
12 by 35.
Goodness sakes. And then they stuck the other Enduros up here so they're out of the way. It's pretty cool. So you got them down here, up here. There's 4 on top, 4 on the bottom. So 8 300 amp hours. They fit up there nicely.
Yeah.
And that even stays on storage.
Yeah.
So if you're asking, well, how much solar is up here? So 𝐫𝐴ZA, which he should be here, 𝐫𝐴ZA and Harrison are showing up. 𝐫𝐴ZA sent ahead the solar panels so he can get them hooked up. So we're looking at around, they're 330 watts per panel. We have 8 panels, so I believe that's around 2,800 watts of solar. If you're keeping track of how much, I'll let Harrison kind of explain the battery situation, but I believe we're around 30 kilowatts on the batteries. 30 kilowatts on the battery. They really thought through everything, so when we do the LED wall, we can run it basically on solar. The problem comes into play is how much power is going to take the amplifier to run the sound system and the 2200 watt subwoofer. I don't remember how big our amplifier is. The amplifier is going to draw the most power. So if we can run the whole system just on solar, I don't know. Yes, we need to go back to see who actually this idea was.
Oh,
I think he was denying it and probably in denial.
Greg said, where's the mixer?
Right here.
Well, there's a lot of styrofoam in there, just like the subwoofer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
See, look at that guy's hands. It's like half the size of that.
tiny
house.
hands. See? It's got tiny hands.
Where are your tiny hands? And then where are you putting this?
Well, that was the other thing I didn't realize. So
That's one speaker. Did you figure out if the other
No.
speaker's still coming?
What
It
we-
hasn't updated.
I did not
That's a
realize.
BFS.
Yeah. I didn't
And
realize.
it's heavy too.
I didn't realize there's going to be 2 other components because it has to have a modulating system plus that, and there's another rack component that has to come in.
What other rack component? Did you see? Like, look how heavy this thing is.
That's the speaker. It's meant for concerts. This is a concert level speaker. I don't know where the other one is, but
It's lost on FedEx somewhere, but one will probably do the trick.
no, we're gonna have 2 plus the sub. What do you think?
Just gotta bolt those to the roof. Good thing.
Hey, this is
Yeah, I don't know, Josh.
spacecraft.
You can just craft your space. Order whatever crap you want, and then they will put it on.
There's a price to that.
They don't look at those until last night.
Like, wait, we did something wrong.
As you're driving off.
What's this?
Where did this last screw go?
We might, because I don't think you have the. I don't think you have height for 11 inches.
Yes, I do. I do.
Yes,
I
Josh,
do.
we do, right? We have the height for this 10 inches, 10 and a quarter.
I figured it out.
Goes under, because it should go, it's not taller than our platform deck.
I figured it out. I did. I
Do you want
calculated.
these tilted
Yeah, not tilted. Go ahead. Don't ever let me stop you.
Sorry. You
towards
do
the
you.
ground?
Well, just maybe
It's up higher than that
Yeah.
in the drawing.
in the drawings it does. And it's slow since the roof slopes.
So the roof slopes, so it's already naturally going to tilt down somewhat.
Yeah,
But it's not like,
but when I measured,
it might be like,
it took me forever to find those speakers.
oh, I love them. They're great.
Here-
That's a hole for the cord.
That's not how I wired it. Hey, Wyatt.
Subwoofer. Come on,
On
Wyatt.
camera?
Huh?
You get that on camera?
No, he didn't.
Uh-oh.
He was getting the wheels in the Bronco.
So
Oh my god.
Jesus.
That ain't good when it comes with wheels.
I told you how heavy it was. It's like 78 pounds. This thing is.
That's awesome. The first thing you see when you open it up is casters.
It
That's
is.
Awesome.
It comes with casters. So here's the problem. The problem is it's got to fit behind this component here. And somehow or another, if I need to pull it in and out for concerts, Wyatt thinks we can mount it permanently in there or semi. It could rattle the whole rig.
Oh, it's not that big. It's a spacecraft.
It's a space. We're crafting space. So the question is
Unfortunately,
you
the
better.
space is crafted, so.
Yeah, it is crafted. It's done. I guess I need to measure it again.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So I measured okay?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in there all right.
Oh, that's it.
It'll be plenty bright enough when we need it to be.
Yeah, we'll be at an RV park. People will like,
Turn it down. Now you got to. The whole thing has to be programmed. Yeah. Harrison has had a chance to tour this huge monstrosity thing. We've been sending him pictures, yeah, for a while now. And actually, when we first come up with this idea, Harrison was one of the first people we called.
Harrison was actually the first person we talked to even just say, hey, what do you think of this?
If anybody had this idea, it was going to be the two of you. So it didn't surprise me, to be honest.
I know, and you believed in us.
Yeah.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
Yeah, he got pretty excited. He's like excited. He's like, let's do this.
Yeah. I like geeking out, so.
Yeah, yeah. And we are geeking out. So if you watched if you've been around, you saw when we first met Harrison, we just wanted to run our refrigerator when we left to go home to visit the kids.
I think we just lured you in a little bit. Like, now let's run this.
I'm hooked.
So then I was like, okay, Harrison, here's some of the things we're going to have on here. And that's kind of like when you started kind of crafting the idea of how did you come up with the idea of how many batteries to have and then floating through all that?
Yeah.
Well, how did you kind of figure out?
Yeah, I mean,
process?
basically, you know, the size of the rig, it kind of falls into a large fifth wheel, a Class A. I would say a little bit more in the fifth wheel if somebody wants to go full off-grid.
Right.
And those systems are very similar to what you have here. Obviously, you have a couple of the bells and whistles, like sound systems,
Yeah.
LED boards.
Silly, isn't it?
Different gadgets on board that you aren't going to find in other rigs. But so it's pretty, you know, the thought process is like, hey, we need to put 30 kilowatt hours of power in here.
And when he said that, I was like, I don't even know what that translates to. And then all the batteries started showing up.
Yeah. Well, just 30 kilowatt hours for you guys. That's 8 of our 12 volt, 300 amp hour batteries. So some people might think about amp hours. That's 12 volt, 2400 amp hours, but that equates to 30.7 kilowatt hours of energy. So really what that's going to allow you to do compared with the almost 2,700 watts of solar we put on the roof. We could have put more. This is a big real estate, but
Well, we had a problem. We wanted a deck up
yeah.
there.
What did Sheila want to do on the top? You wanted to.
That was him.
Yeah, that was him. Oh, okay, now we're gonna Sheila.
I wanted
But,
a deck.
yeah, got the deck up top. You got a power, you know, sound system, all that stuff. So we only ended up with 2,700 watts of solar. But with your mini splits that you've chosen for your air conditioner in here, which are lower consumption rating than most RV air conditioners, you're going to be able to run those more efficiently. And with that 30 kilowatts of power, you're
It's a
going to
big
run air
difference
conditioners off
from-
grid with the solar.
From running just the refrigerator, we've come a long ways.
Yeah. One other thing I'd add is with that 2,700 watts of solar, you could easily run both your mini splits full out during the day and not be consuming from your battery bank.
Oh, 'cause it'll just be-
You'll be offsetting with your solar. You'll be offsetting the consumption there. Now, as you add other things in, you might have to, you know, manage things.
Nice.
So we've moved from being able to just go see the grandkids with our refrigerator running to being able to have an air conditioner while we're boondocking.
It is pretty awesome to kind of see what you've done. You've been now out there in Colorado
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And we've been with you almost the whole time.
Almost 2.5
Oh,
years,
we've
yeah.
kind of all grown up together. And, you know, if you're sitting here and you're watching and you're like, well, you know, I don't know what to do. We always tell people if you're just wanting like 1 battery, 2 batteries, or figure out what your needs are, to just call Harrison and he'll walk you through a lot of the needs.
Yeah. Here at Enduro Power, our goal is to work with our customers to get the right solution for your needs. And, you know, with a rig like this, you know, we have 30 kilowatt hours. I mean, we could go 60, we could go 90, we could go 100 kilowatt hours if we wanted to. But really, again, you're saying, hey, here's how we're going to use our rig.
Right.
And that's the same conversation we have with all of our customers. It's like, how do you use your RV? How do you use your,
Yep.
you know,
What are
in
your
application?
needs? And like for us, now we're like, well, now we're hoping to be able to boondock out in the middle.
And we want to do stuff for our community and do events.
Absolutely.
And so this is kind of like a different focus for us.
And you're not trying to you could live off grid. You know, lighting, all the
Water
things you
becomes
do,
the
waters, all the
issue.
basics you got. So you got enough to live off grid.
Absolutely.
But if you want to go full out, party, band on top, LED board going, you're not going to run everything off the batteries.
No.
And you have a commercial sized generator on board.
That wasn't like our focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can turn the generator on when we need to run the speakers and
Yeah.
the LED wall.
Yeah. But I do think you're going to find out, 6 months, years from now, you'll be like, we could do a lot with that.
Well, I just thank you for believing in us,
Yeah.
in the whole process.
Come along on the journey.
And we're happy to share, your business and all the stuff that you've done and how he can help you out as well. Even with its one battery, even if you're going fishing, he's got fishing, you bass boat
And we
fishermen,
just got golf cart batteries.
batteries. See, so like, there's other options.
Yeah, I
which
think
is
that
awesome.
that's what's important to us is that we're being able to build a relationship with somebody versus a giant conglomerate business where we don't get to have this personal interaction for you to really focus on your customers' needs. That's what we love about Enduro Power.
Yeah, you're doing that.
It's that.
Right now at the show.
Yeah, this one's good. This one's good. This one usually like to adjust the low shutdown, and I always reference. I've memorized the 12 volt, and if you memorize one voltage, you can multiply and figure out 24 and 48. So for 12 volts, usually 11.2 is where you want it to shut down. This is all we really need to adjust here. If you go back to general or try grid here. So in the event that you start the generator and have like any, if it's not connecting every single time, you're having any issues or anything, you can deselect this UPS function. For now, leave it enabled, just something to come back to if we have problems. But from here, you can go to send settings right there. Modified settings to all devices,
Oh, well, we made it.
Made it. Made it. Done.
Dude, he's been here an hour.
The question I have is will I ever have to do anything? Like, will I have to call Wyatt or Kaza or Harrison and say, hey, I have some issues?
All you need to do is there's a nice touch screen. It's not
Just
on
hit
right
the
now.
touch
Just
screen?
hit the touch screen and then then call us.
Okay. That's it. It'll tell you.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's coming up. That'll tell you. This is what it's going to show you what you're consuming from shore power, your battery, your solar, and what you're consuming on the rig can all be seen in that one screen.
And so the great thing is Wyatt or myself can remote in. And
Oh.
if you've got any...
So, like, if you're in India or somewhere, I would just say, hello, technical support.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. As long as you have Wi-Fi.
Oh, great.
Who are we fooling? Wyatt doesn't ever leave this place. We'll get him right
He
here.
just told me he took a trip to Saudi Arabia to
Oh, God.
work on a rig.
Yeah?
Yeah, but that's to work on a rig.
All right, we tracked down Kaza. He was down on the belly trying to get everything done.
Getting things programmed for us. Thank
So-
you, by the way.
Got it done.
RV solar connections. Now, we heard from Harrison how he gave you the call about this crazy project we were doing, but we didn't get the backstory. Like, did you think this was a crazy idea when he told you?
You know, I wasn't really sure entirely what to expect, but now that I'm here, this is pretty epic.
Yeah, it is. It's got a lot of things. Now, the thing is that Kaza's specialty is all the stuff. You're Victron certified, but you do other things too.
Sure.
Certifications with different systems, right?
Right. Yeah. So we, we're a technical distributor with a focus on renewable energy for RVs and travel trailers, camper vans, tiny homes. We will support and coach DIYers, and we also train professionals to design and install systems like the one that we have here today.
Wow. No, yeah. And thank you so much because you provided the solar panels, you took care of the Victron systems and all the components. And he's like, okay, we're going to hook this up so we can do all the things you need to do on the road.
Hooked it up.
Oh, you did. And he was helping Wyatt go through the phasing and all the fun stuff. But if you're sitting there and you're wanting to do something special for just like your RV, doesn't matter if it's from, you did van life for a while.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to do like your smallest projects, from your van life all the way up to something huge, Kaza's the dude.
Yeah. We usually start figuring out like what it is you want to do with your system, what things you want to run, and from there we can design it to make sure that it accommodates that.
And you can actually purchase things on your website and have it shipped because your focus on is DIY projects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And will you walk them through steps if they call? Or do you have like packages that you set up?
Yeah, packages, we do schematics.
Oh.
So wiring diagrams so you can see how everything connects.
Right.
And then coaching throughout, right? So as questions come up, you've got a resource that you can call and we'll walk you through it.
Time's up.
Oh boy. When you build a spacecraft, look at this book. That is our would you say that's our manual?
It's something.
We were sending in things, and then we also have to do some maintenance on some stuff, so we pulled the book out. It's
I still don't know how to use all the things, so I probably should read all of that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're talking about energy consumption. Well, we got a lot of things to consume energy. Like even this love sack right here has a speaker system in it.
Yeah, like charge my phone.
I want to say thanks for tuning in. Any parting gifts of knowledge that you would like to share with them?
Yes.
Okay. She's always got a good nugget.
I've said it already.
Oh.
Call the people that this is their profession.
What do you mean not listen to me? Like I gave them some good wisdom.
I'm sure you did. But just the person that can help them the most is when you just call and say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I was told to call. Just say, I was told to call you.
Like if you wanted to call us and say, hey, how do you start a YouTube channel? Or where do you travel in the United States? I can help you with that. I just want to be able to turn all the things on and they turn on. So call Harrison. There's your plug, I guess.
So, yeah, just do it. I mean, look at getting the first battery and just start a whole different RV lifestyle. I mean,
In fact, when they just buy an RV, they shouldn't even get one of them other batteries.
Yeah, you could probably do the upgrade right there and
Yes.
finance it right into the system.
Yeah, just say, I don't want that battery. I need a lithium battery.
Yes, but make sure to ask the question, is the charge controller going to charge both the AGM and the lithium? It's a very key question.
Those technical things.
I know.
I just want to push a button. Look.
Yeah.
Lights work.
All right, with all that being said, thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, be a doer of all things, and thanks for tuning in as Sheila figures out we have a soft water system and it's time to regen it and reflush. So probably another video at another time, so you might want to subscribe just to see what we're dealing with in that. With all that being said, we are